Good afternoon, everyone. It is Saturday, April 11th, 2026. This is Truth News. I am Walter Bass. Today, we're going to cover a couple of different subjects. The first one is shocker, another congressman accused of raping several women, Eric Swalwell, who we know is a sexual deviant who is depraved. He was sleeping with a Chinese spy, Fang Fang. Anyone remember her? Fang Fang, the Chinese spy. Mind you, Eric Swalwell is married with children. And before we get into that, as always, we want to acknowledge the people responsible for these videos and these shows, and we're going to start with serial child sexual predator, serial child killer, serial child rapist, State Judge Kelly Hansen of Riverside County, California, in the city of Marietta. I have been through 1,675 days of terrorism. I have been through 3 years of living in a car, 3 physical assaults by the FBI, falsified background by the FBI, termination of all financial resources by the FBI, 3 mental health holds, and have had to travel from California to Oklahoma City seeking justice so this man could stick his dick in my 7-year-old son and murder him. That's right. 1,675 days of terrorism, so this piece of trash could stick his dick in my 7-year-old son and murder him, which he did. And we are at day 1,675. And the reason I want to acknowledge him first and go through that, as always, is these videos are about my son and the millions of other children raped, murdered, and sold by the United States government over the last several decades. But Eric Swalwell in particular, I find it interesting that CNN, you can look this up, they did a report on one of his victims that he raped, drugged, and raped, not once, but a couple of times. And she's not the only one. There have been several rape victims by Eric Swalwell. And I happen to know Eric Swalwell because I was calling his office when I was in California in regards to the kidnapping, violent sexual assault of my 7-year-old son. And Eric Swalwell's aide laughed at me. And I said, "Where is Eric Swalwell?" And I'll never forget, she laughed and she goes, "Ha ha, he's spending time with his family." And she said it in such a condescending way. Like he gets to be with his children, but you'll never see your son again. Ha ha ha. Well, well, well. Whatever a man sows, that shall he also reap. I wonder how Eric Swalwell's wife is doing with this, that he is worldwide known as a rapist. That's right, 21-year-old staffers that worked for him. He rapes them in vehicles. That's a sexual deviant. That's a maniac. That's a lunatic. This is a grown man married with children, supposed to be a public servant in Congress, raping 21-year-old women in cars. I think that pretty much says everything you need to know about Eric Swalwell. But I digress. We will move on to the next story. I wanted to cover that first because, how many people in Congress are rapists? I would say majority. I would say probably 80% of Congress are rapists or pedophiles or murderers, child molesters, drug addicts, alcoholics. We all know Nancy Mace is a drunk. We all know Pete Hegseth is a drunk. Pete Hegseth rapes women, beats women. We all know that. It's just a pattern in the United States government that in order to be a public servant, you either got to be a pedophile, a rapist, a murderer, or an addict. I mean, I think those are prerequisites at this point. When you apply for the job or you want to run a campaign, the first thing they ask you is, what are you addicted to? Nothing? You can't serve. How many women have you raped? 0? Nope, you can't serve in the United States government. How many people have you murdered? What? You've never murdered anyone? Yeah, you're not going to fit in pedophile hill. So, Switching gears, we're going to go back to the world's most famous child rapist, Donald Trump, the pedophile punk. And when all this started with my son, Thursday, September 9th, 2021, that's how long I've been on this crusade every day. Phone calls, emails, federal casework. Kevin McCarthy was Speaker of the House when this started. Marjorie Taylor Greene was campaigning for Donald Trump when this started. And I was watching Joe Biden fall downstairs, fall upstairs, fall off stages, fall on stages, look for stairs, couldn't find the stairs. I was watching him wander off in fields in foreign countries and have to be held by the hand. I was watching him crap his pants on stage and have to be escorted off. I was watching him talk about Corn Pop. Anyone remember Corn Pop? He was a bad dude, that Corn Pop. And I was thinking to myself, while watching Joe Biden suffer from dementia and elder abuse by Joe Biden and his family so they could maintain their financial status and their power, I thought it can't get any worse than this. I mean, Joe Biden's got to be the bottom of the barrel. I mean, surely we can't get any worse than this. And then lo and behold, here comes Donald Trump, the pedophile punk, raping and beating teenagers, murdering teenagers, threatening their families, murdering school children, dropping Tomahawk missiles on school children. And I'll be dang if Donald Trump ain't crapping his pants right in the old office. Got to get the media out. Everybody leave, get out. I just crapped my pants. Got to get my diaper changed. You know, I didn't think it could get any worse than Biden, and then here comes Trump. And I just wonder, where is the end of this? What is the objective? What are we hoping to accomplish? That these people, and I use that term loosely, people, these demonic creatures can keep their positions of power and authority and just steal money and rape women and rape kids with no accountability? Is that the objective? Just if we got to burn this whole country down so pedophile punk Donald Trump can rape a few kids, murder some children, and become a billionaire? That's where we're at as a society and a nation. That's what the United States of America has become. 340 million Americans have to give up everything and suffer so an 80-year-old with dementia can rape and murder children. That's where we are. So Eric Swalwell can sleep with Chinese spies and rape women in cars. We all need to suffer. That's where we are. You know, I've said this, we're not going to vote our way out of this. Who are you going to vote for? Eric Swalwell? Gavin Newsom? What, do you think they're not all doing the same thing? Who are you going to vote for? What are you going to do? Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, they're all the same. George Bush, Obama, Biden, they're all the same. They're all the same. You know why they're all the same? Because they're just puppets for the intelligence agencies who's really running the country. The same FBI and CIA and Homeland Security that's murdering Americans in the streets like dogs. The same ones that assaulted me physically 3 times, made me live in a car 3 years so I would shut up or they could discredit me, call me crazy. Oh, he's crazy. He's unstable. He lived in a car for 3 years. Yeah, I lived in a car for 3 years because you put 8 felonies on my background in 5 years that were falsified so I couldn't get a job. You wouldn't even allow me to have food. So you couldn't even get Western Union. You didn't allow me to have Western Union so I could buy dog food for my dog or maybe eat once a day. No, I had to go 9 days without food at one point. 9 days with 0 food, nothing but water for 9 days. Why? Because I live in the United States of baby rape, where they rape, murder, sell, and eat children, and I reported it. I reported a serial killer, a judge who is a serial killer of children. 16 years, going on 17 years, Kelly Hansen has been raping, murdering, and selling stolen American children. Period, full stop. Yeah, I had to get assaulted. I had to get smacked in my face and elbowed in my head at my gym. Why? To be intimidated? So the FBI can rape kids and get away with it? Speaking of the FBI, where's all the Epstein files? Where's all the evidence? Where's all the videos? Where's all that out? Melania Trump wants the truth. The world's most famous prostitute wants the truth. Give the world's most famous lot lizard what she wants. She's the First Lady of the United States, FLOTUS. Give HOTUS FLOTUS what she wants. Give her the truth. Unleash the videos. Unleash the documentaries. Let's see it all. Let's see the photos. Because the truth is, a cabal of cannibals that eat children control the United States of America. That's the truth. We all know it. Whether it's jerky, pizza, grape soda, Epstein Island, Hollywood, Predator Beach, Pedophile Hill, it all roads lead back to the same place, a cabal of cannibals. Baal worshippers, Bohemia Grove, California, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, Freemasons, Illuminati, Baal worshippers, Moloch worshippers, a satanic occult, whatever label you want to put on them, it's all the same. They all serve the same purpose. So, we're going to talk about Melania Trump now, the world's most famous lot lizard. Her lots just aren't truck stops. They're Predator Beach and Pedophile Hill. She just worked different lots. She's just a lot lizard, just a prostitute, a hooker, a whore, trash, scumbag, a penis pincushion, Melania Trump. We're going to talk about Amanda Ungro. Does anyone know that name, Amanda Ungro? It's ironic that last night I was watching Valhalla Live on YouTube, and I saw a comment. I like to read the comments just to see where people's awareness and intelligence are at. And someone posted just those two words, Amanda Ungro. And I thought, wonder what that's about. And at the time, I was getting ready for bed so I could go to the gym today. I go to bed early. Got up, went to the gym, worked out. And when I came back, I put on YouTube to check in with what's going on with the real world and reality. Get away from the psyops and the propaganda of the mainstream media and the nonsense. And I hear Amanda Ungro named. And I thought I just saw that name last night. Well, let me tell you about Amanda Ungro. I'm going to Wikipedia her. She has her own Wikipedia page. And Midas Touch, Ben Meiselas at the Midas Touch did a very good expose on her this morning. All kinds of posts she's posted. And it's ironic who she is and what's going on with Melania Trump's press conference. You see, I thought Israel was threatening to burn down Melania Trump with the truth, how she's basically a human trafficking victim and bought and paid for just a bag of flesh that Donald Trump bought from Jeffrey Epstein when he was done sticking his penis in it. And let's find out who she is. You see, Amanda Ungro was a 17-year-old. Obviously, she's not 17 anymore. As a 17-year-old teenage model, she had been flown to New York City on a plane owned by Jeffrey Epstein, the so-called Lolita Express. And they never met again, so they say. Her agent at the time, with whom she had boarded, was Jean-Luc Brunel. Jean-Luc Brunel, the one who hung himself in a prison, supposedly, just like Epstein, supposedly, allegedly, maybe, perhaps. And she was signed to ID Models, an agency founded by Paolo Zampoli. We're going to get into Paolo Zampoli. He's got a position in Trump's administration as some liaison to pedophiles. I don't know, but Paolo Zampoli was supposedly the man who introduced Melania to Donald Trump, when we all know that's a lie. Epstein got tired of banging her on the Lolita Express at 30,000 feet and wore her out and passed her on to Donald Trump. He took sloppy seconds. In June 2014, Keith Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada, appointed Ungaro as United Nations ambassador in charge of post-15th agendas and responsible of the second committee with United Nations ambassador ranking. Ungaro has worked under the 69th United Nations Vice President of the UN General Assembly for the Blue Economy. Huh. So Amanda Ungaro, who is a child sex trafficking victim of Jeffrey Epstein, passed on to Jean-Luc Brunel and Paolo Zampoli, worked in the United Nations. And isn't it funny that now Trump wants to leave the United Nations? He hates the United Nations. Maybe it's because the United Nations knows who Donald Trump is, the world's most famous child rapist. So, she was with Zampoli, by the way, Paolo Zampoli. And Amanda Ungaro was with him for several years. And they were never married. But after separating from Zampoli, she married a doctor from Brazil. She was originally from Brazil, by the way. And she lived in Aventura, Florida. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Pay attention. In 2025, she was arrested in Miami for running an unlicensed cosmetic surgery clinic specializing in Botox, fraud, and overstaying her visa. Now, where do you think she learned to do fraud and open this cosmetic surgery clinic? Where do you think she got the funds or the resources or the know-how to do all of this? Running with Jean-Luc Brunel, Jeffrey Epstein, Melania Trump, Donald Trump, and Paolo Zampoli. I'm sure that it was all arranged for her. And when she left Paolo Zampoli, he got mad. He said, "Oh, you don't want to be with me anymore? Okay, then I'll shut down your clinic and I'll have you arrested." And then she was placed in ICE custody at Paolo Zampoli's behest. It's right here in the Wikipedia. Placed in ICE custody at Paolo Zampoli's behest because Paolo Zampoli and Donald Trump, well, pedophiles of a feather, raped together. For 3 months, she requested of an immigration judge to be deported back to Brazil, where she had previous residency. There is an ongoing custody dispute between Ungaro and Zampoli over their son. So they had a child together. And Zampoli, when she left him, didn't want to be his sex slave anymore. He said, "Okay, well, I'll just take the kid, have you thrown out of the country and arrested," which he did. On April 7th, 2026, which was just 4 days ago, a series of tweets emerged threatening legal action, which had been sent in her name to Melania Trump in the first term of the Trump presidency. The First Lady held a surprise announcement the next day denying any ties to Epstein. So Amanda Ungaro, let's see if I can, I don't have Twitter. I'm banned from X, Twitter. I'm banned from True Social because when you tell the truth, they ban you from social media. But let's see if I can get her tweets online. Oh, it looks like the results below are changing quickly. Let's see. Let's check. Let's look on Threads. But I can paraphrase and tell you what she said. Let's see here. It don't look like I'm going to be able to pull them up. So she told Melania Trump that she would burn down their entire system, her and her pedophile husband, and she knows everything she did for 20 years. Amanda Ungaro knows everything Melania Trump and pedophile punk Donald Trump did for 20 years. And she left Paolo Zampoli, who, let's see what his position is in the Trump regime, the pedophile protection class. Paolo Zampoli, he is, let's see, Trump administration. He formerly owned a modeling agency, shocker, appointed as special envoy for global partnerships. Special envoy for global partnerships. I wonder what that's for. You think that's for trafficking children to be raped repeatedly? Special envoy for global partnerships. Maybe that's the kids being sold out from Riverside County to Romania. Maybe he's brokering the deals for all of the children. Can't help but think if he's running with Epstein, Jean-Luc Brunel, and Donald Trump, that he's probably selling kids to be raped repeatedly. That seems to be a pattern of behavior with these demonic creatures. But I digress. Amanda Ungaro is threatening to burn down Melania Trump, and that's why Melania Trump came out with the press conference. I thought Israel was threatening to burn down Melania Trump, using her as almost like a hostage or collateral to make Trump keep bombing Iran and send in the ground troops for Iran so Israel could get what they want. But it looks like it came from left field with Amanda Ungaro. So good for Amanda. We the people are with you. The more truth that comes out, the better everyone feels. Because the best disinfectant is sunlight. So let that sun shine, let that truth ring. Let's hear it. Let's shout the truth from the rooftops. So I want to close today. I'm at the 21-minute mark. We're going to close. I just want to touch base on Candace Owens. Everyone is talking about her show she did yesterday. The breakdown of pedophile punk Donald Trump, the world's most famous child rapist, calling her ugly and low IQ, a nut job, and a troublemaker. And saying that Bridget Macron with the penis is more attractive than Candace Owens. First of all, Candace has mentioned several times that she feels people were sent, handlers were sent, whether Mossad, CIA, intelligence, whoever it was. She feels that people were sent to break up her and Charlie Kirk, to divide them. And I agree with her, and I'll tell you why. With Charlie Kirk being a legitimate genius, his ability to store information, retain information, and to orate to crowds of people with such composure and intelligence was unbelievable. Charlie Kirk could captivate an audience, young or old, men or women. He drew people to him. He was a magnet for humanity. And it was unparalleled, unmatched. No one could draw crowds like Charlie Kirk. Not when it came to just speaking. And Charlie Kirk was a young, white, conservative male. Store that in your mind for a minute. Young, white, conservative male. Genius, amazing orator, could draw crowds of people. Candace Owens, highly intelligent, very amazing orator, has an ability to take the most complex subjects and break it down into basic linguistics. She can communicate on a level that everyone can understand and relate to. She is black and she is beautiful. So if you put these two people together, if you take a young, white, conservative genius and you take a black, beautiful woman with high intelligence, amazing communication skills, that was not born with a silver spoon in her mouth. She didn't come from wealth. She didn't come from money. She came up through the ranks like every normal human being. Not the Midas touch, not nepotism, none of that. If you combine Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk, in 3 to 5 years, with their speaking abilities, with their intelligence, and with the audiences they could reach, they would have united this whole country, because Candace Owens can relate to a lot of people that Charlie couldn't, and Charlie could relate to a lot of people that Candace couldn't, because some people judge off of race, off of male, female. Some people hear messages from men better than women, vice versa. Some people just prefer to have a message from a certain type of person. It's just the nature of the beast that everyone likes to receive their information in a certain packaged form. A lot of the information we get is, you can listen to Mike Tyson, motivational speaker. And Mike Tyson's been through a lot of stuff. I love to listen to Mike Tyson. When it comes to life, he is very educated on life. Can he communicate like Charlie Kirk or Candace Owens? No. No, but he has a base. He has an audience. Certain people like him. Even Dana White. Or whoever the case may be. Andrew Tate has his followers. Nick Fuentes has his followers. Tim Pool, all of these people, whether I agree, disagree, like, or don't like, is irrelevant. What I'm trying to say is certain people develop certain followers because of how they package their messaging or the way the message is delivered, or simply because of who they are. If you combined Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens in 3 to 5 years touring together with no interference, no intermediaries, no distractions, they would have formed a movement unheard of in this country. It would have reached poor black children in the projects of Chicago or LA, all the way up to the upper class, rich, uppity white people in the HOA neighborhoods or the exclusive neighborhoods, whatever you want to call them. They would have a movement that would have been unparalleled and unmatched. And I do believe that that's why they were broken up and divided. It was intentionally because out of fear. And Candace made a good point in her speech. The fear of the politicians, the senators, these people in power and control, they fear when a slave commands the crowd, like Russell Crowe in Gladiator. They love to see the people fight in the arena, fight to the death for their entertainment. They look down on them from their box seats. They snub their nose. They decide if they live or die with the, is he going to live or die? They do all of that, and it's all for their entertainment. Until the slave turns around and points at them and commands the crowd of people to everyone look at these people. And that's what Charlie Kirk did. Charlie Kirk realized what was going on, and he woke up and he started to take his millions of followers, millions he had already generated and built up, and he started to direct them towards the people in power, and they couldn't have that. Can't have a slave command the crowd. We got to take the slave out. Which is why Candace and Charlie were divided. Which is why all of these distractions are going on to avoid the pedophiles being held accountable for raping and murdering children, which is why the United States of America is burning down because of one thing, the truth. That's it, the truth. The truth is burning this entire country to the ground. The cannibalism of children, the satanic cabal of cannibals, the rape by congressmen and senators, the assaults, the beating on women, from Pete Hegseth, beating on women, being a drunk. His own mother wrote a letter. You can check my shows, a few shows back, a letter from Pete's mother. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm at the 29-minute mark right now. I wanted to touch on these things today. And if you get a chance, there's on YouTube, you can see the CNN link about Amanda Ungaro. And it's very interesting, all of her tweets and how she's coming out. CNN did, Midas Touch did the Amanda Ungaro story. CNN did the Eric Swalwell raping his staffers, which we know that goes on. We know every day. Every day, women are raped, children are raped, in the United States, a baby rape. And what's done about it? Well, has anyone from the Epstein files been arrested? Have there been one arrest made from any of the abusers, rapists, and murderers documented in the Epstein files? with video, with emails, with timestamps and dates, self-confessions of these people. No. No. And you know what? State Judge Kelly Hansen, who has thousands of victims of children, thousands over 16 years. Has he been arrested or charged? Has he been arrested and charged in the kidnapping, sexual assault, and murder of Grayson Bass, my son? No. No. You know why? Because he's a Mormon. He's part of the cult. If you're a part of the cult, you're a government employee, you have immunity to rape and kill and steal and destroy children at will. It's encouraged, I believe. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap up today's show with that. It is Saturday. I hope everyone has a good weekend. And I'm just going to, one verse out of Matthew 7:12, just one verse. In everything, therefore, treat people the same way you want them to treat you. For this is the law and the prophets. Let me tell you what happens. What comes around goes around. Whatever a man sows, that shall he also reap. The laws of karma, whatever label you want to put on it. If you plant an apple seed, you get an apple tree every single time. You'll never get a lemon tree from an apple seed. You'll never get a watermelon from an apple seed. You'll never get a cantaloupe. You'll never get an oak tree. You only get one thing from an apple seed, and that is an apple tree. Period, full stop. That is a law. Just like the laws of gravity, just like the laws of mathematics, just like the laws of nature, the seasons, all of these are laws. Which is why I maintain a positive mental attitude, which is why I maintain faith in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, which is why I stay the course, telling the truth, advocating to stop the rape, murder, and sale of children, and still trying to get my child's teeth, toenails, fingernails, and hair back from the United States government, who told me in 2024 that my son was dead to stop calling them. And Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police Department, 3rd District, told me Donald Trump ate my child. I want my son's teeth, toenails, fingernails, and hair back, number one. And number two, I want to live in a country where the government doesn't rape, murder, eat, and sell children. I do not want to go to work 40, 50 hours a week in the hot and the cold, commuting, doing without, so my government can rape and eat babies on my dollar. I don't want to do that anymore. But I maintain faith in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and I know from experience that nobody gets away with anything. Nobody. You might get away with it for 5 years. You might get away with it 40 years. But eventually, everyone pays for everything they do one way or another. It is a law. It's called sowing and reaping. And I do believe we are seeing a lot of reaping by the United States government for all the decades. From the 80s until now, Donald Trump has raped Katie Johnson, murdered Ivana Trump, murdered 165 Iranian school children with a Tomahawk missile. Rape, murder, kids. Nobody gets away with anything. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. I'll ask that you please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Share these videos. I share these links across the country. Every single day I make these videos. And this will persist for 25 years, I anticipate, or until I get my son's teeth, toenails, fingernails, and hair back that the United States government stole, stuck a dick in, murdered, and ate, according to law enforcement in the United States of America. God bless everyone. Have a good weekend. I will see you. I might do another video today. If not, it will be tomorrow. I will see you soon. Thank you.